All the way from El Salvador and Connecticut, we have two great people bound to be politicians of the planet. They're going to take over the world with goodness, with the help of their loyal instructor. I'll shut up now.
Hello, everyone. Hope everyone's having a great day. My name is Ricardo Fuentes, and I am here with the great Mr. Brady Blade. How are you doing today, Mr. Brady?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm so excited to be here. What a great intro. I love this.
Yeah.
Amazing intro. Round of applause if we could give one to the great, to our great professor here. Anyways.
As you should. He's a good man.
He is a great man.
Yeah.
So, if for those who don't know Brady Blade, is there anything you would like to say on who you are? What do you do, and like, what have you been doing the last couple years?
Wow, I guess I'll start off, basically, a lot of people know me as a drummer, I suppose, with a few different people in life, from Emmylou Harris to Jewel, Indigo Girls, Dave Matthews on occasion for special projects, which is always a lot of fun. So the musician part is great. I finished school in business and economics, so I actually have always applied a bit of creative, being an actual player, and then also teaming up with business, which is what I'm doing now. So to answer your question about the last 2 years, I'm working with a company out of Sweden. It's a music tech startup called Melody, which is a cool platform for finding new music and a kind of a social media voting process. And Sweden is always great for tech as well. Spotify, Skype, Candy Crush. You can go on for days. And then on the other part, I work doing currency for Rockstars, International Currency Exchange, for global touring acts and a couple of golfers here and there. So it's all creative, business-minded types of things. And then every now and then I get to play some drums, like last weekend at Red Rocks, for instance, which was pretty incredible.
That's great. Yeah, so being students as we are right now, we're still figuring out what we want to do and finding our inspiration. So I want to ask you how you started in the music business and what was your inspiration?
That's funny that you would mention that. When I was I always loved music, but my parents were like, you really should focus in on something so you can get a real job, son, that kind of thing. So hence the business. And when I finished college, I got a job with the federal government doing fiscal audits for housing and urban development. And for me, no offense to government officials that work jobs, but I was looking at people hanging on, trying to wait for their retirement of 20 years. So that, I mean, they weren't living. They would get to work at 8, go home 5, go watch the news. I'm like, you know what? I don't think this is for me. And so after a year and 2 months, I think it was, I quit. And I went to go play with this band in Austin, Texas called The Business. And at the same time, you have to understand this is pre-internet, which came out in 99. So this was late 80s. And I was sending out resumes by snail mail to try to get a job at a record label. So, I mean, I sent, I don't know, hundreds maybe. So I finally got a job at Island Records in Los Angeles. And that's an exceptional label. The owner who started it, Chris Blackwell, signed Bob Marley, Traffic, U2. So I got that job, moved to Los Angeles, and that started my journey that I'm basically still on. You know, I mean, I've got a wife, I've got 3 kids now, and a dog, and a lot of stuff. But you know, I think to stay inspired, you should try to follow your instincts and not go with the status quo. And it's kind of difficult because, you know, you're supposed to make money and have a successful career. But I think as long as you're happy and successful in your life and at peace with yourself, everything else will work out. You know, you're in college. Obviously, you're smart. And I think most kids that do go to school are smart. But I tell my own kids, my 12-year-old is pretty, how can I say, very forward-thinking and very organized with their life. And she's already talking about going to college in L.A., and she's only 12. But at the same time, I'm like, well, you know what? Go to college. Do what you want to do. But if it doesn't work out, don't beat yourself up. There's other stuff you can do. And but I think I always try to find a bit of inspiration. And when it does come to school, if you're fortunate enough to be able to go to college and have professors, that was one of the best times of my life I graduated from a small private school called Centenary College. And my instructors were very instrumental in assisting me in things. And my old economic advisor, to this day, works with me on certain business models and works with the NSA. I mean, this guy's like super smart, and he still finds time to hang out with his old student and stuff when I need to do some statistical models that are out of my reach, for instance. So all of it kind of goes hand in hand, but I think the key thing is just be happy with what you're doing and try to find inspiration in whatever you're doing. And never get bored. Life's too short.
Take risks. It may pay off, yeah.
I find that very interesting too, because if it wasn't for my teachers in high school, I would have never went to college. I didn't think school was for me after high school, and they were like, what are you doing? Like you're too smart to do anything else. But
and look at you now, you're in Rome.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I thanked him yesterday actually. I saw this great I don't know if you guys know Humans of New York, the blog.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And
it's
I
great.
saw his most recent post of one of the dreamers, and she was like, the only reason she went to school was because only one guidance counselor believed in her, and it just got to me. That was my high school teachers pushing me to go to college. That
person made a big difference for you.
It did, and they did, and I appreciate them every day.
Makes sense.
Oh my gosh. So, as a drummer, have you had any chances of working with any big bands or any big musicians in the past?
Oh yeah, I mean, I've at some point in time I played with everybody from Bruce Springsteen to Bonnie Raitt to Linda Ronstadt, Dave Matthews, as I mentioned earlier, Jewel, Sarah McLachlan, who I really love a lot. Just all these different scenarios and touring and recording and making records and doing TV shows and stuff. It's
Which one was your most favorite?
The act or TV show?
Either.
TV show to play on, definitely got to be Letterman. I miss it a lot. That was incredibly fine TV show. And I was in there a lot at one point it was about a 2-year span. I was in there with maybe 8 different bands. And then I remember after the 4th one, kind of started being friends with Dave Letterman, I guess. And then Paul Schaefer came up to me after the 5th show, and he's like, how many bands are you in anyway? I'm like, I like to work, I like to play, it's fun.
Yeah.
You know, I was under like this last year, a couple of years ago, with John Doe, punk rocker from X. You know, so that was the last time. Right before they kind of went off the air, so it was kind of cool to get back to go to the show. And most of the guys in the world's most dangerous band, friends of mine. You know, Will Lee and those guys. So, artists. I was telling your professor earlier. I think Emmylou Harris, from being in her band actively for 9 years, and her now just being a great friend. I mean, she's such an incredible person to talk to anyway, and she just happens to be this artist who's had this great long career and has transformed herself time and time again. But she's just very consistent, great mother, great friend.
Mm-hmm.
I think, so that's just been a very fortunate career to be able to go with her. And I didn't really start playing drums professionally until late in life, so that was my first big gig. It was with Emmylou Harris, to be honest. So, yeah.
So yeah, I wanted to ask you, kind of playing off that, what have been some of your greatest challenges in your career, and also some of your greatest accomplishments? You can tell us.
I think for any musician, as a sideman or producer or whatever, which is what I've been most of my life, I think you have to balance out. I'll put it to you this way: if you're single and you just kind of can do whatever you want, whenever you want, it's not a problem. But once you start having family obligations and you have children that get a little older and they have to have a consistent thing where they can't jump on the plane with you to fly from Stockholm to New Zealand and hang out a couple of months because they got school. So you start having to make decisions, and I think you also have to look at the financial ramifications of things. I mean, as a songwriter, I've been published with Sony Music ATV, and 20 years ago you can make money off your publishing. It was great. Nowadays, I mean, it's like you don't really get that. So, but you have to be innovative with your revenue streams and how you earn your money, because if one gate closes, you find another way to do it. So now maybe shifted over to doing commercials and more film work where it's a set fee and I do the job and I get paid. I don't have to wait a year or whatever for royalties that hopefully will come in. So I think some of the hard times are just being able to financially focus and save, and stay out of trouble. They have an old saying called "idle time is the devil's workshop." I think it was a Southern expression. And basically what that means is you have a lot of musicians that tour and they tend to get in a little trouble. So if they have any kind of a habit of whatever, it could be gambling, drugs, whatever, it will get magnified on the road because you do have a lot of free time. So what are you going to do in that free time? You're going to be constructive, or you're going to try to, basically break yourself down and kill yourself, which you've seen in the press. Scott Weiland from the Stone Temple Pilots, sad, a lot of different people succumb to their demons on the road. I personally used to love going to museums. I still do. So when I travel, I get up, I take walks. I'm not a hiker or anything like that, but I do go to museums. I like good restaurants. And that keeps me focused in what I like to do, going to good, cool book shops. Some guys like partying all night, every night. It'll catch up to you. I've seen it. Yep.
So where you grew up or the environment you grew up in, did that influence a lot of your music, or?
Yeah, growing up in Louisiana, mainly Shreveport, and when I was younger, my father had an unbelievable record collection, and I have a mom and a brother. My brother is one of the top jazz drummers on the planet right now, and a great composer. So my father's influence, him being a preacher and us going to church and growing up around that music, that definitely shaped us with music. Not knowing we were going to make a career out of it, however, that turned out later, but we just was exposed to so much great music, and and the case in point, my dad was preaching in Detroit. I think I was 8, my brother was 3, and I remember in the choir, it was this lady, she sang the lead. She was an unbelievable singer. It was great. So usually after church, and in our community, you finish church, you go to lunch and stuff. So the lady who was in the choir was, she came to lunch, and come to find out, the pastor's name was C.L. Franklin, and the daughter's name was Aretha Franklin,
Wow.
the soul singer. So, and then
my God.
crazy thing else, 2 years ago, maybe it was last year. Well, no, 2 years ago, my brother, played at the White House with Aretha Franklin. And she remembered, she's like, I remember you, and he hadn't seen her. And so it's kind of funny how things can, you get exposed to. Oh, big time. I'm talking goosebumps left and right. So, and my brother's so modest, I had to find out from freaking Facebook that he was, because I asked him, I'm like, we had been with each other, and then he's like, I'm like, where you going? It's like, oh, I got to go to D.C. to do this thing. I'm like, okay. A thing. He's playing at the White House with Aretha Franklin. He's just so modest. I'm like, I just wanted to strangle him, But he's a sweetheart. He's actually he just finished 2 nights in London with Nora Jones at Ronnie Scott's Monday and Tuesday of this week. So he'll be in Stockholm in a couple of weeks. So we'll get to hang out and go to dinner.
Make some music, maybe.
Yeah, make some music.
We never we make music together with our dad. Our dad's got a band. That's a whole nother story. It's a killer band though, because he's got some bad cats in it. Daniel Lenoir, who produces U2, and Greg Lease, who's Clapton's band and stuff like that. Buddy Miller. I mean, my dad's got this all-star band, and my brother and I do double drums in it. So that's probably my most fun band. Mm-hmm. We don't get to play that much together, but it's ridiculous. It's like a freight train. Oh!
That's great.
Do you listen to like any music now? Like any artists that you like right now?
I like a lot of people because of this Melody thing. I'm actually Melody, a company. We're getting people uploading the music from all over the world because I always like finding new music, and you'll find these great chestnuts. Because I'm an old punk rocker, so I like punk rock. I like soul, like hip hop, like classical, like everything, if it's good. So yeah, lately it's been an onslaught of like all these different bands that are coming out, and I'm digging. And then my kids turned me on to pretty cutting edge stuff too. They're pretty hip.
Like what?
Oh God! I mean, well, I remember 2 years ago, well, a year and a half ago, kept hearing this song. Oh wait, I'm like, who is this, Bonnie? She's like, that's Calvin Harris. You know him, the DJ. I'm like, So I didn't know who Calvin Harris was at the time, and at the same time, I turned them on to stuff. Foo Fighters was just in Stockholm a couple of weeks ago.
Love Foo Fighters.
And my 12-year-old, she, how did she say it? I was trying to take her. And because she's kind of tall enough where I could get her into the venue. It was a secret show thing. And I'm like, you want to go to see the Foo Fighters? She's like, Daddy, I really don't dig your music. But my 8-year-old wanted to go because she likes the Foo Fighters. And, and they're friends of mine or whatever. And she kind of knows, a couple of guys in the band. So it varies. But they turned me on the cool stuff. I turned them on the old stuff. A lot of old jazz, a lot of blues, a lot of ska. And some early stuff from Jamaica, which I think is very hip. Like, my 8-year-old knows who Jackie Me Too is, that's pretty hip. It's like, knows how to handle a vinyl. So, yeah.
That's great.
Because, I can't get enough of Kendrick Lamar.
Dude, Kendrick Lamar, that first record he did, it blew my mind. I like the new stuff too. It was cool, but that first, I like Chance the Rapper a lot.
I love Chance the Rapper.
He's funny. He's great. And I hung out with Trey Lorenz. Is that his name? Trey Lorenz, Canadian.
Tory Lanez?
What's the name?
Tory Lanez?
That's it. Yeah, I can't remember. Well, anyway, I was on a bus with him, and we were playing this festival up in Vancouver.
Wow.
So casual.
Well, I mean, I'm on a bus with this guy. I'm like, he looks for me. I didn't know who he was, but he was killer. I'm a new fan, so I dig him a lot. Who else do I think that's new? I really dig.
You like
so
Frank
many,
Ocean?
So many rap. Yeah, Frank Ocean, Miguel.
Frank Ocean. I think my kids like them too. Yeah, they got their thing going. They make their own playlists and all this other stuff. And we're not a TV family, so it's always either music blasting or silent, with books. But they got music on constantly. So I'm always checking out kind of what they got happening. It's pretty cool.
You can't get enough music. I'm telling you.
No, you can't.
Every day, if I'm not listening to music, I'm having a terrible day, and that's just.
So true, yeah.
That's it. It's like I woke up this morning. It's like first thing I do is like I got my computer, put my music on, and then okay, now I can go get a coffee, whatever, take a shower and stuff. But I have to get my
take a shower with music. You buy like a portable Bluetooth pill or whatever.
Yeah, they got those things.
Yeah,
they work.
That, yeah.
And you listen to music constantly. I don't care if it's like at dinner, like. My mother could be yelling at me, and I'll still be listening to music.
No, before I had one of those, I put my iPhone in a little Ziploc bag, and
hey,
I took it in the shower, and then it broke a few months later, but it was worth it.
Do you guys study and listen to music at the same time?
Yes.
Yeah.
It varies for me. It depends on the content of when I was in school, because if I had to really, really remember something, I had to have complete silence. But it was just something pretty casual. I was like, I always had Dead Kennedys blasting or something weird, something like that.
I have to
Do
listen
you guys
to
know
like,
who the Dead Kennedys are?
I have to listen to like ambient EDM. That's the only way I can study.
Really? Yeah.
Like I have to play
Indian EDM? Okay.
ambient EDM. If I can't, like, if I don't listen to ambient EDM, I will not be able to study it. Like
You can't retain anything even unless you listen to that?
Yeah.
You're going to have a problem in the workforce. You're going to have like surgically implanted speakers or something just so you
Well,
understand.
Spotify. I mean, they have the study playlist.
That's
and
right.
The chill playlist, and that's what I go to.
You got some cool stuff.
Oh yeah, you have. I mean, maybe like, but now they're making like these like portable like wireless headphones that you can hide really well. So
Yeah.
So maybe in like a couple of years we can use it in the workplace.
You know what? You came up with a good idea. I think we should like come up with like a semi-permeable kind of thing that gets molded to your ear, so it just looks like it's your ear and just clear plastic, but it's actually a speaker.
Hey.
We
that's
could
a
make
good
billions.
idea.
You heard it right here, folks. At AURA podcast.
Don't take our
And we
take our
got
idea.
the idea. We patented it. It's
Yeah.
ours. Damn
Oh,
it.
yeah,
It's
there you
ours
go.
right now. We're
Uh-huh.
we're not sharing. Kellie has right now.
So you got that? Hey,
Oh, yeah.
I just thought about it just now. Good work.
Honest, probably the future there will just be.
I can only invest like 20 euros right now.
It's all
Yeah.
about. It's not about the financial part. It's investing in the engineering of it and trying to find who's got the best materials to kind of make. I'm telling you, we can hash this out after this podcast. We're going to get a beer and talk about it.
All right,
Perfect.
let's go.
Sorry, parents, I'm not encouraging your kids to drink.
23.
There you go.
So how has relocating to Stockholm? How is that? You have your own recording studio, correct?
I owned a recording studio with the opening piece. That was Blade Studios, and that was in Louisiana. And then my girl got pregnant in Louisiana, and it was time to go back to Sweden and go home because I don't want to get into that thing about the healthcare thing, but she just thought it was the most ridiculous thing she's ever seen. She's
Right.
like, what is wrong with your country? I'm like, I don't know. 'Cause, I mean, we had 3 kids. And, this total cost for having all 3 kids with everything was $60. In the
Wow.
States, I was paying all this money and stuff. But that was kind of the reason we moved back. And I have to admit, Sweden is an unbelievable place to raise children. It's incredible for education, lifestyle, safety. So, my young kids can just roam around by themselves. I don't have to worry. So And the States are great. We go back enough. The kids go back enough to see the grandparents and their friends because they went to school there. So that's a big part of them being an American. And I think for me as a parent to see that they have that balance where they like both things about both places, and places have their cons, but they look at the world in a cool way, and they see the good in things, I think, which is pretty neat. And
Well, I think a lot of DJs come from there too.
oh yeah,
So
loads.
a lot of influence there, yeah.
Yeah. It's a lot of because it's a great music scene in Stockholm now, and Sweden as a whole, I think, and they're really great with songwriting.
Yeah.
So, and music is one of the biggest exports of the whole country. I mean, not just the tech stuff. I mean, music itself. So many American artists come there to kind of get their stuff done and write and work with certain people like Max Martin. He's, really cool guy. I've heard. I've never met him. Eat at his restaurant all the time. But
What were the biggest difficulties you had as a musician growing up? Did you have anything that like almost held you back in any way?
No, man, because the thing is, my parents. Give you an example of our house. Like our house was filled up with kids all the time, and like Saturday, my brother would have his jazz quartet in the kitchen, in the living room, and then by 3:00, my buds would come over in the garage playing punk rock. I mean, my parents it was absolute chaos at our house in that capacity. And I remember asking my parents later on, I'm like, when I got older and had kids making all kind of noise myself, I'm like, why'd you let us all hang out at your house? I'm like, well, one, I knew where you were, and then secondly, wanted you guys to have some fun, and you were working on something you really like to do. So it was an exceptional upbringing for me and my brother to have that kind of thing where our parents are that cool. You know, they didn't care about the noise. I mean, we'd go. I think they had a cutoff, like by midnight. They're like, all right, everybody out. But you know, they would usually close their door or go out to dinner somewhere and come back. You know, it was so laid back and so inspiring in that way. You know, music and books, a whole lot of it. Yeah,
My folks were a little bit like that too. They
it's
were
the best, isn't it?
Yeah, they
Yeah.
When your parents are cool, you know.
so open with everything.
And all the kids used to come to our house because, you know, some parents tend to overparent, I guess. So, you know, usually those, and then my parents, I guess, were upstanding in the community. So the other parents felt good about them going to my parents' house or whatever, you know. Even though some debauchery that went on, like outside, they didn't know about and stuff, you know. But kids will be kids, teenagers will be teenagers, but it's nothing to overreact about. So I'm fortunate for that. So no bad parts of growing. To answer your question, no, it's all been gravy, good, fantastic.
You want to trade parents?
Sure. After we get our ear invention going, we'll call our respective parents.
She's gonna be super mad.
Any other things?
Kellie's from Connecticut.
I am. It's a great state.
It is a great state.
What would you say is the most important trait for a drummer to have if they're starting up?
Very good question. I see, you know, you got a lot of guys that I guess focus on the chops. You know, how many notes you can play. It's not about that. The basic job of a drummer is to keep time. You know, and if you're trained, you're the engine of that train. And it's supposed to be very consistent, and it's supposed to be going in a direction that's a form of leadership. Everybody thinks the guitar, the lead singer does. And they do lead. The guitarist and the singer, they are the leader of the band or the singer. And you have to follow that as a drummer. But as far as the foundation goes for a band, you play what the music requires. And if you overplay, well, 9 times out of 10, you're going to get fired and not get the gig. So it's about keeping good time, and then if you get to a point where your skills are great, you know, you're getting all these bands, it's 90% of your attitude and 10% of actually drumming. So it's an old saying, can you live on a tour bus with them? You know, I mean, seriously, you'd be surprised. It's kind of like is that, I don't know if that was Sesame Street, which one does not belong, I don't know. But anyway, so you know, 9 or 10 people on a bus, and, you know, you got one person that's kind of like, kind of look at him like something's wrong with this guy and it's not working out. It's like a bad fit because you're close quarters, you're family, and you all have to look out for each other. So, you know, if you got a loose cannon, and if you're the drummer and you're the loose cannon, well, you probably won't have the gig that long. You're gonna get fired because you're replaceable.
Mm-hmm.
So I think have a lot of fun, enjoy when you play, be on time, keep good time. That's it. You know?
Are you an aspiring drummer?
I am not an inspiring drummer. I was an inspiring bassist, and then
I dabbled with some guitar back in the day.
Everybody should play drums. You know why? It's
Why?
the best therapist in the world.
oh really?
Oh, it's the best. I mean, it's a stress reliever. It's like, you know, you get out, even if you can't play, you buy a drum set, electronic, real, whatever, play and watch how you feel. You're like, wow. Because you go to the gym, Playing drums is something else about it. It's like, oh wow. Because you know, my kid's got a kid at home, and I play it all the time, and you know, and I just feel better. So it's the thing. I play for really my self enjoyment.
Have your kids started playing any instruments?
Yep, 2-year-old plays. He's a wild man. 8-year-old plays, and 12-year-old plays string instruments.
Oh, wow.
I played the violin, and it was
Played
hard.
the recorder.
Did your mom throw it in the trash can on you?
She didn't throw it in the trash can. She made me practice outside after a while.
That's like throwing it in the garbage can. No, kidding. I hate to tell you this at this late age of 23.
Yeah, I'm sorry to break it
I'm gonna have to talk to her when I go back home.
Tell your mama hello.
I'll make sure to tell her that all those times that she made me play outside, that they were at least worth it.
That's right.
It pissed off my my neighbors at least.
Your mom's kind of mean. No, kidding.
She's cool.
I bet she is.
Since we're in Rome,
Mhm.
what would be your best? If you had to describe the best food in Rome, what would it be?
Oh God, come on, man! Just Italy, you kidding me? It's too much.
Well-
It's too many great dishes that have come from here, that are here. I mean, I like everything here.
You gotta pick one.
I can't. It's impossible.
Pick 5.
Risotto.
Oh,
Oh,
okay. That's your.
Yankee for sure.
Mm. cheeses. Oh, it needs to. I mean, come on! What are you're killing me over here? It's like I like everything. Oh,
No.
yeah.
It's always fun. Have fun. You have 30 minutes. Keep rolling.
No, we got 30 minutes. So we're about 15 in.
Oh, no, we've got 30 on, so.
Oh, you got 30 already?
Yeah.
Oh,
So are there any projects?
Having fun.
I like that. It really does. God, wow, you guys are good. Okay.
Is there any projects you're currently working on, or just kind of?
I'm starting to kind of get with a couple of guys that have been in the business for a while as players, and we're looking at some very younger singers to try to kind of do some different things. And it's not for the purpose of worldwide financial domination. It's just for the exploration of always making new music and
Yeah.
forging new grounds. That's what makes it fresh for me, and I think for the listener. I got this crazy art band named Snow Racer, what was released 10 years ago, and I think they're about to reissue that one, so we might do some new songs together. It's a crazy band out of Sweden. What else am I doing? I kind of just like finding some stuff on this Melody platform again. I got a lot of new acts, and something could happen there, so I'm kind of keeping my eye out for something new that I can hear and say, oh, okay, what are your plans? And the platform's really great if you got a kid stuck in Wichita, Kansas, or wherever, and doesn't have any access to the industry, don't know how to get out. At least people can hear it and either like it or not like it or whatever, but at least it'll be on somebody's radar. In addition to this other outlet, SoundCloud or whatever. And sometimes Spotify, you can get kind of lost in so much music. It's very,
Yeah.
because it's a great platform. My kids use Spotify a lot. I use Spotify a lot. And it's 10 minutes from my house, the headquarters, the cool people that work there as well. But this Melody thing's got something a bit more specific about it I dig. So I've already found this metal band I really dig that I'm going to contact. Found this soul singer last week at the lunch party in Stockholm. She was unbelievable. She was a star. So it's kind of, it's always fun to see that, and somebody can really rock a house and stuff when they just got a DJ and they can, boom,
Yeah.
And then, going to the shows and having fun, hang with the Foo Fighters the last couple of weeks in Stockholm, and then saw them in London at the O2. I mean, it was just, because I like rock. And they were kicking ass.
How are the Foo Fighters? Like, if you had to describe them as people, how would you describe?
Okay.
Oh, here he goes.
So, okay, I take the London O2 before the show. Okay, a couple of friends that I had all access, whatever, but go backstage. It's just like all these people backstage. They're all hanging out, and then, I was talking to Chris Shiflett and Rami. I'm like, we're on stage in 5 minutes. They're still in their clothes they had on from lunch, I guess, and they go out and rock the 3-hour show. And then afterwards, came back, did the same thing, hanging out, talking to everybody. Just very personable guys that have worked hard for 20 years and had their difficulties. Dave, like I said, had a mental break with the band back in '99, and he took off with Queens of the Stone Age, just played drums, to regroup.
Mm-hmm.
But man, as a unit, it was like one of the best shows I've been to in some time. And this guy I played with about 10 years ago named Rick Astley, Never Gonna Give. He sat in with them on one song, so we were all hanging. Hadn't seen him in 10 years. So, it was just like, it was fun. It was great. And the crowd was going mad. It was nuts.
Because my favorite Foo Fighters song is Best of You.
Oh, yeah.
I remember watching
The best. I got some video of that.
I remember watching it on MTV2, and when MTV2 was good, and
when it was good.
when I watched that.
High five on that.
VH1 too. MTV and MTV2 and VH1 used to be the spots from music, and then they just made it like all these random
reality
TV shows. Yeah, that didn't make any sense.
Yeah, the real world might be interesting to some people, but my God.
I watched you guys for music, not for
Thanks.
the Jersey Shore or whatever.
See, I'm old enough to remember. I remember the first video on MTV. I remember it was coming out. I think I was in junior high or something, and it was Trevor Horn. Video killed the radio star, and I remember it aired because I was looking so forward to it. They had MTV Raps, all these great shows, and that's when you found out. It was
Control.
yeah. I like him, and it's like
We can relate to this.
it was.
Dr. Dre. I got into Dr. Dre because of MTV.
There you go.
yeah?
I love rap because of MTV and like hip hop because of MTV.
Speaking of which, I thought they did a great job with Straight Outta Compton. I was afraid to
Oh my
watch it
God.
because
So
I thought they
good.
screwed it up, but it was unbelievable.
It was an amazing movie. I remember when I first saw it, it was just like the history behind it was just like
Yeah.
so concise and
They
so
locked it in.
consistent. Yeah, it was
And
great.
It was so weird that Ice Cube's son was, playing it. It was like, it was pretty, yeah, it's a good job. But yeah, MT. So now, I don't know, Stockholm's got a pretty good, vibrant music scene, so you can actually see a lot of bands all the time, big and small. And it's very inspiring to go out to see people play for me, especially if they're good at what they do.
Do people like sing like on the streets, and can you like?
Yep, they got some stuff like that in Sertamamba, near the neighborhood where you were at. I mean, the wintertime can get prohibitive. I mean, thinking the subways, I don't know if it's, you see a couple of people in the subways, but they got some kind of laws there that kind of forbid that a little bit. But no. Drottninggatan, you can busk all day, yeah, and play your music and make some money and stuff. So you see some good people doing that, yeah.
Have you tried to get someone on the street sometime?
Give you a story. I was in Dublin a few years ago, and it's a singer named Paddy Casey.
Mm-hmm.
I think he had a really big record in Colombia. I found him busking on the street, Temple Bar, if I'm not mistaken, and I invited him to the show. He came to the show, and I'm like, man, somebody needs to sign this guy. And I was trying to call a couple of friends, and sure enough, 2 months later, he got signed by somebody by Colombia, not by my thing. But I mean, I just knew this kid was a star, and his first record really blew up. So you see people all the time. You see very talented people. New Orleans especially. Problem is, sometimes, let me think. It's like in anything, whether you're homeless or whether you're not homeless, if you don't have the mentality to kind of stay the course and navigate through this business, it's very difficult. So if you got, you're extremely bipolar and you're bent out of your mind, and you possibly might have a drug or drink habit, it's going to cloud your judgment and make it hard to kind of make your way through it. Because, I mean, it's a business, and I think that's what a lot of people say, oh, I just love playing. Yeah, but it's another part of this, and just Jay-Z is like probably one of my favorite artists when it comes to like balancing business and music.
Yeah.
And Sting too. And
he's a visionary of our time. He's
unbelievable. The guy's like super focused, and and we were long story short, it was a couple of years ago. I guess it's what's his name, Kanye West and Jay-Z combined tour, whatever it was. I forgot what it's called.
Oh,
The
yeah,
tour,
yeah.
the Paris one.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to Bristol, England, because we were doing some work with Jay-Z's tour manager. He was a good friend on some other stuff, and we had to go talk about some business. So got there, hung out with her, and we were going to leave early. And Jay-Z had gotten there and talked to us for a minute about this thing, and then we said, oh, okay, I hope you enjoy the show. I'll see you afterwards, maybe. Whatever. And I looked at the stage, and I saw DJ set up. They had one guitar guy, and that was it. And then a whole lot of stages around this arena. I looked at Matt, and I'm like, dude, I'm ready. I'm driving. I'm ready to go back to London because I wanted to hang out. He's like, no, we should stay and watch. I'm like, all right, whatever. Go to the front. Dude, I was blown away. Jay-Z did this one move. I mean, we hung out and watched the show, and we like near the end of the show, we kind of walked backstage. So pretend this is like the stage, and it's real high, and we were standing like kind of over there. And Jay-Z was in the middle of this like unbelievable. I don't know how he remembers all these lyrics. Da-na-na-na-na-na-na-na, this crowd right there, and he looked over at us. He was still rapping, da-na, da-na, da-na. I was just like, oh!
He's like fangirl moment.
No, he blew me away. I
That's
mean, made Kanye
amazing.
look like Mickey Mouse. I mean, because they were kind of alternating songs. They do
Yeah.
3 and 3.
Mm-hmm.
I was blown away. So I got new respect for the guy, and his wife's a powerhouse too. So that's what you call a power couple, I guess.
You cannot mess with Beyonce.
No.
Beyonce
At
is
all.
the queen of the world. Everything. I don't know if you know this, but everything she touches
Oh.
turns to gold.
Bling.
She
Yeah.
touched Cardi B, and Cardi B number 1 on the chart list. Everything she touches is gold.
Bling.
Exactly.
Yeah, every time I see her name. Yeah, her new album Lemonade. It's art. It's great.
It's killer. So
Yeah.
it's one thing. I mean, I guess it's kind of coming around. Vinyl starting to kick again. Not change subject, but and how we buy music or listen to music. I still like going to record stores. I mean, I just bought some vinyl just recently. Now, it's one thing you're gonna realize when you get kids, your disposable income kind of diminishes. I used to buy all these records. Your professor knows what I'm talking about. Now it's like, wait a minute. See, diapers, groceries, gas for the car, gas. Yeah, I'm like, what the? I want to go buy something for me, but you can't. But it's all good. But at the end of the day, it's so relaxing for me to go to a record store. And I think I'm going to go to this spot here. It's in the center of town on Saturday and kind of poke around, see what I can find.
I actually have never been to a record store.
A
Yeah,
lot of people
me
haven't.
either.
And that's how I grew up. That's all we had was record stores. So, you go there every week. Oh, we got, it's like, and my brother's got a huge collection. I mean, it could almost fill this room. He's been collecting
Wow.
since he was like 8, and he's now 40 something.
This is a pretty big room, guys.
And he's got a lot. I mean, I'm talking 1, 2, 4, 5 rows deep,
Wow.
height wise, and then just records, all in alphabetical order. He's got a little bit of OCD. Everything's like, in sleeves,
Yeah.
so you can find everything. It's like going to like, oh, this is great, And come on in.
Oh, that's he was going to stay.
Oh.
Oh my God. My God, I'm goofy.
That's amazing. It
I'm
really
sure
did sound
everybody
like
out there heard it too. You guys know what's up.
Yeah.
Is that all we got?
I don't know, anybody else?
Got any other questions?
I don't have any questions.
Yeah, I do, Brady. Thanks for coming in. You're here as part of the entertainment forum.
Yes.
AUR.
Yes.
To you by our good professor Jonathan Pollock.
Yes.
You're going to be sitting down with him tonight.
Yes.
And I don't have any other questions that he's going to ask you. I want to know personally from the film and digital media side. You said you work a little bit with music and
Yeah.
film. What are you responsible for doing?
Scoring.
Scoring.
So I've done things from like large international commercials. There's one in particular I remember for the clothing company H&M.
Yep.
They had
Very,
licensed.
very Swedish.
They had and they had licensed a song, a blues song, and they're like, hey, and what you would do is, because obviously Muddy Waters is dead, but you would recut the track and do it with an artist of some name, I guess. So it was a male-intensive song, and I told the head of creative, I'm like, what about a female singing it? Quiet on the phone, which means they were like thinking this guy's a nutcase. I'm like, who do you have in mind? I'm like, let me get back to you. So anyway, I tracked down this soul singer named Erykah Badu, and she ended up doing it. I cut the track in Stockholm. We got her part on it in Paris, I think. And anyway, the campaign was very successful. So that was fun to work with the director, do the remix for it. And in film, that's a director named James Numbers. I'm about to music supervise actually, and do a little scoring on his full feature film. It's going to be shot in Chicago, so that means I'll probably be in the lab by March, putting together things. It's a period piece, kind of 90s up into the 2000s, so they want to kind of some music that follows that kind of timeline, but also some kind of out-of-the-box things. And it's fun to work with the music supervisor or director that knows exactly what they want musically, because most times it's you get this clean slate and you're supposed to score to it and you have no idea direction, what are they thinking, because I think out of the box and weird all the time. I'm like, okay, if this is an urban piece, well, let's put Stravinsky to it, so I just,
Yeah.
that's just how I think. But I'm like, what does the filmmaker have in mind? So fortunately, I've been able to work with directors who are very musical, extremely musical. I never worked with this guy, but I aspired to. But Quentin Tarantino was filming Django, whatever the movie was.
Django Unchained.
Amazing
So,
movie too.
I go to the set, you go to the set, there's all this chaos around all this stuff. But one thing I noticed, I was there for about 6 hours or whatever, hanging out for the day. When they weren't filming, it was music blasting the whole time. And then when it was getting ready to do the slate thing, the music would stop. They do the scene. So it's, slated, music back on. It just kept everything fluid and moving. I kind of dug that. And Martin Scorsese is a huge influence. I wish I could even just meet him, but the way he scores his thing. So when I do get a job with a director, whether it's a short film or, they got a big budget and all this other stuff, you still got to do the same job. What does the footage require? What are you trying to convey to listeners? And if you got a team effort helping you do that, it's great. Because there's not too many Hans Zimmers in the world, are there?
No.
And
Or John Williams or
yeah, Exactly. John Williams. Oh, the best.
It's the
Probably.
greatest.
Lalo Schifrin is probably one of my favorites. He did so many movies, including the theme to Hawaii Five-O TV show. But anyway,
We can relate.
we can talk. We can talk.
Hawaii Five-O.
We're going out tonight.
Bad remake.
But all those things are just great, and I think commercials are such a great way to. But nowadays, you know, with YouTube and all this stuff, I mean, you can. I mean, my kid, I mean, like, a 12-year-old, she's great. She'll make some music or whatever, and she'll Final Cut her own stuff. I mean, she's making movies and I'm like, how'd you do this? You know, and it's unbelievable the way she sees things, and she does her own little edits. And because of technology and great instructors like this to show you how to use it, I think these days it's more relevant than ever to be able to do cooler things than before. Because it used to be a bit of a process.
I made my first movie in high school. It was in my TV production class. We made like a horror movie for Halloween.
Ooh, was it good?
It was terrible.
Okay.
But it was.
At least he's honest.
It was good and terrible.
It was terrible.
Terribly good.
But I never thought like how hard it was to like until you do the whole like editing process of like 5 hours of footage and clips and cutting, and I was like, wow.
And then
like,
10 minutes, that's it.
yeah, and you had it was like 10-15 minute movie, and it was like, wow, where does like all that time go?
Yeah.
I mean, these apps that are out today, I mean, my kid's like on her freaking iPhone. It's just like, you know, I mean, what are you doing? It's like editing. You know, tell me what you think, Daddy. She emailed it to me and look at it like, damn. Yeah, but she's a great shooter anyway. I mean, she's a good photographer, and I think if you got a good eye, and then she, you know, she's got pretty good taste in music too. So it's kind of goes hand in hand, doesn't it? So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
You and I talked before when you came in about, we want to say it on air, your favorite groups and people that you played with. Who would be your top person that you have a dream list that you got a call from and said, hey, Brady, we want you to play with us? Who would it be?
Rolling Stones.
You knew. I was ready for that question.
I
You didn't
mean,
have that.
it'll never happen because if Charlie's not there, it's not gonna, you know. But
All right, second.
you know, so it's not gonna happen. They'll be in Stockholm in a couple of weeks. It'll
Yeah.
be fun.
Yeah.
Taking the missus for her birthday.
Good for you.
I actually got a shot on my Instagram thing. I got to play with Ronnie Wood last year and Mick Taylor, so that was fun. So let me see. Okay,
So
The dream
Stones,
gig-
the dream team, Stones.
okay, Stones, and then I guess individual artists. It would have
It
to
doesn't
be.
have to be individual.
Okay, could be a band. Oh my God. Oh, this is tough. Foo Fighters with my gig.
Okay.
I can handle Taylor's parts.
Yeah.
Sorry, Taylor. Let's see who else. I like Queens of the Stone Age a lot. Get that be help. Who else I really dig? I really like Depeche Mode.
Yeah.
So I like programming and doing some stuff, and they're really cool guys. They got a cool thing going, and
It's a difficult question.
oh man, it's hard, dude. 'cause I like
Which question was harder? Favorite food in Italy or dream band? to
Both.
play with?
both the stumpers.
Yeah.
well, food is great everywhere.
Yeah, food's good. We just had a great lunch.
We
I
did.
took pictures of it and everything, and
This is a good place.
Well,
I
the
wanna
great
try.
thing is if you're broke here, you can still live off pasta, you know?
you can
That's
You
true.
go down to the
actually
market,
that's
get €2, and
that's a
then get 5
global
bags of
phenomena.
pasta.
Little butter, pasta, you're good.
Yeah.
No matter if you
My roommates eat off pasta every day.
Yeah.
I think they're gonna be pasta by the time they leave from. They're gonna be part pasta, like 5% pasta, 95% human.
Yeah,
But it
I
works.
read that the average Roman eats like 80 pounds of pasta a year or something like
Wow.
Come again?
that.
Average Italian.
Average Italian eats.
Roman, Italian,
Roman,
whatever.
eats 80 pounds of pasta a year or something like
That's a lot.
70, 80, something like
That's like a
Well,
human
it
person.
figures in. Makes sense.
80 pounds. Okay. Yeah, that's a
that.
little-
It was a lot to me.
Yeah.
It's a lot to me too.
Yeah.
Now you're thinking about sitting down at a table and looking at 80 pounds of pasta,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
you
that's
know,
true, yeah.
spread out
In
over
my body,
365
yeah, well.
days. You're right. That's not huge portions. That's actually quite normal, I think.
Guys, got anything else you want to ask Brady while he's here?
No, I'm just looking forward to the show tonight.
And you guys coming tonight?
Yeah, we're coming tonight.
And then we hang out afterwards.
We're gonna hang out afterwards.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
We're gonna hang out.
All right. I
Grab a
like that.
beer.
Boom.
All right.
All right,
Thanks
Brady,
for
thanks for coming. Thanks
Thanks
for
for
tuning
having
in.
me. Look at that. This is great. I can't wait to see this.